What if the secret to success wasn't just talent or hard work, but unshakable confidence? Welcome to Grasp Confidence, the podcast where visionary thought leaders, speakers, and entrepreneurs unlock the mindset and strategies for lasting success. I'm your host, Tara LaFawn Gooch, CEO, two-time best-selling author, and international TEDx speaker, and I can't wait to help you step into the most powerful version of yourself. Let's dive in. Confidence isn't just about believing in yourself. It's about taking bold action in the face of adversity. And today's guest knows exactly what it takes to turn challenges into incredible opportunities. Erik Weir is a best-selling author, entrepreneur, investor, and success coach who has worked with some of the world's top performers, from elite athletes to Hollywood executives. As the founder of Weir Capital, Erik has built a reputation for helping people maximize their potential, whether in business, finances, or personal growth. But Erik's journey hasn't been without obstacles, and we're going to hear some about that. He has faced setbacks, learned valuable lessons, and discovered the power of resilience along the way. In his book, Who's Eating Your Pie?, he shares insights on wealth, purpose, and the mindset shifts needed to create lasting success. Erik, welcome to the show.
Hi, Taryn. Thank you for having me on. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you.
Yes. Wow. I met you through someone on LinkedIn. I interviewed him for my podcast.
Okay.
I always like to ask at the end, hey, do you have any great guests that would like to come on my show? And
okay.
He mentioned you, and I said, no way. Erik Weir, I would love to interview him. So that was my first kind of introduction to you. And then here we are today. So welcome. And I would love to hear, some of what you've got going on right now. Talk to us about your book and all the successes that you are having in life.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting, it's fun to focus on success, but it's been my experience that there's really no success without a setback. And what really got me started was a significant setback. And when I was 5 years old, I was in an automobile accident, and I had a traumatic brain injury. And as such, I developed a stutter almost instantly. So I got home from the car wreck and seen all the police and all of that. And I remember wanting to get out of the car, and both the police and my mother said, don't get out of the car. And I'm like, that seems bad, because I was watching Bugs Bunny, Roadrunner. Everything happened when the car's wrecked. They blew up and caught on fire. So I was faced with a decision. Do I blow up and catch on fire and obey my mom, or do I get out of the car and survive? And I chose to die. It was really hard for me, right? So I get home and I'm stuttering. I'm like, can you please pass the peas? And they're like, Erik, are you okay? And they thought I was just in a wreck and was rattled, but it didn't go away. So they took me to a speech therapist, and it wasn't this is 1972. So this was not the PC encouraging speech therapist. It kind of went something like this. And I'm sitting there, and my legs and my mind's eye are hanging off the side of the chair because I'm 5. And she goes, Erik, life is going to be hard. I'm like, okay. And she goes, you have a stutter, and the odds are you'll be a failure. The odds are you'll be reclusive. You won't want to engage in conversation because it's hard, and kids are going to tease you and they're going to make fun of you. And in such, you'll probably choose to avoid that. She said, but there's an alternative. You can probably be very successful, but you'll have to view each conversation as a challenge, and each time you're picked on as an opportunity. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. He says that if you do that, if you view each as rocks you're climbing, you'll have overcome so many obstacles by the time you're 18, more than most people do in a lifetime, that you'll be hard to stop, because you'll view obstacles as opportunities if you follow my advice. And I left the meeting, one of my parents to say, this is a quack. Don't do that. It's terrible advice, right? And my dad looked at me and goes, Erik, life's going to be hard. Let's get started. And that's where it began. And immediately they set out the next day and set up a lemonade stand. And I realized I do real estate is that location matters. And in this particular case, we lived right at the entryway to an elementary school. So I had parents who were picking up kids slightly older than me, and they're lining up in front of my house. So when you have a lemonade stand and you're 5 and you're blonde and you have a sign lemonade 50 cents, that was great. The bad news is my name's Erik Weir, and my lemonade was 50 cents, and F's are hard to say. E's and W's are hard to say. So I made a sign. So people would ask me, how much is the lemonade? I would point to the sign, hoping that would end the conversation. Not one time did it stop. How much is the lemonade? I'm going to get is 50 cents, right? And I never got 50 cents. I got $1. I got $5. I got tipped. And I was like, this is fantastic. So I went inside and, and then was fun is my dad got home and he'd lost his job and we were living in a rented house. We'd lost everything. And he goes, how'd it go today? I said, I made $86. Well, in today's money, that's like $600. Okay. And he's like, I don't think I made $86 today. So that's how I got started. The first thing I thought is I've got a business partner tomorrow at my lemonade stand, my father, right? But it was fun, but it was a setback. But that setback opened its door to other opportunities that still benefit me today.
So inspiring to hear, because traumatic brain injury is not something that many people overcome. I love the advice going back to your speech pathologist that you had when you were a child. And, that was a lot of mindset advice.
100%.
It was so mindset, right?
I got picked on. I cried myself to sleep. Hundreds of nights. I got picked on relentlessly for years and years and years and years. Even when my teens asking people, us and a girl on a date, I'm Erik Weir. Can I take you to a movie? And it wasn't until I was 40 that I got over it. I stuttered until I was 40. And the therapist would say, put yourself in uncomfortable positions. And one that I did at the end was 3789. I was a church greeter. And it was terrible because I stuttered, right? And what makes it worse is when I have coffee or when I'm tired. And I'm always tired and I love coffee. So I'm right at the front of the church and I would shake people's hand. And every once in a while I get it right, but most of the time I wouldn't. And they'd shake their hand. What's your name? I'm like, it's Erik Weir. And 3 things would happen. All were bad. They'd look at you like, and just wait until you get it out. Like just pure eye on. And that made me uncomfortable. Right. And I felt bad for them. Or they would just look away, just walk off, or they just avoid you altogether. And all 3 were bad, so, but it was funny. What changed my life was the pastor said, thank God for what besets you. And he said, the Apostle Paul prayed 2 times to remove the thorn in his flesh. And he goes, we don't really know what that is. Hunchback, there's all kinds of theories. He said, both times God said, no, my grace is sufficient. And I thank God for my stutter. And I really didn't want to because I really wasn't happy about it. And I was so upset and it was very emotional for me. But when I did, the stutter went away over about 3 years, not the next day. But I said, thank you, God, for the stutter you gave me that made me who I am, that gave me my persistence and resolve that I would not otherwise have. And then that's what changed my life. It was gratitude.
Yes. Oh my gosh. You're speaking my language, right? It's the gratitude for me that, what's interesting, that came for me at my lowest point. Mm-hmm. And it was something that I didn't have that like deep appreciation for gratitude. And I didn't feel like I had a true relationship with God until I was at my lowest point. Until I felt like I have no self-confidence. I'm in steeps of depression, anxiety, which a lot of people are going through, right? But I realized that, if we didn't have the darkness of the night sky, right, we wouldn't appreciate the stars. We wouldn't be able to see them and distinguish them. No. So I think that, complexity of just the human experience, like we're talking about right now, that you have to have the give with the take. You have to, be able to have that adversity so that you can overcome and actually step into the person you're supposed to be.
It's so true. And I do something with each of I have 5 sons, and at some age, it's not like I've written it down. It just kind of happens, and it pops in my mind at a certain age. But I remember doing it at 10 with one of my sons, and I went into a closet and I closed the door, and it was very dark. And I brought a lighter with me, and I'm look how dark it is. He goes, yeah, I can't see anything. I said, I brought a lighter, and I'm going to light it. And I have like a lighter here, and I would light the lighter and show a flame, and were you able to see the flame? He goes, yeah. And I said, that's light. The light in you can light the darkest room. Mm-hmm. And I said, remember, it only takes a little bit of light. No amount of darkness can overcome the smallest amount of light. So be a light. And that, I think, has impacted their lives. It sort of has impacted mine. And gratitude is a light. No matter how bad things are, there's always something to be grateful for. There are always people who would trade, no matter what circumstance you're in, with you right now, no matter where you are, handily. And so often we focus on what we are lacking, not what we have.
Oh, 100%, right? But once you really, and I consider it a relationship with gratitude, because gratitude, again, it's what I used to think of it as is something like, okay, you check your box. All right, I'm done my gratitude for the day. That's good. On to the next. You have to do it every single day. It's a lifestyle. It's a habit. Yes. Like prayer, right? And the interesting thing about gratitude that I realized once I developed a relationship with it is that it did feel like a continuous prayer, like a bridge, that at any point in time, I could just reach out with an expression of gratitude and be connected through prayer to God. It's that 100%. Powerful.
No, it's super powerful. And I heard Jordan Peterson say, he said, like, start each day believing that everything that happens to you ultimately will turn for good. And in Scripture, it says all things work for the good to those that love and serve God. So that's a biblical advice. And he's open by, I don't care what religion you are, just say, all things are going to work out for my good today. No matter what happens, it's ultimately for my good. And sometimes it's so hard to see what it is. And you listen to Tim Tebow, and he wanted to go back and play in the NFL again, right? He's in great shape. He's a great athlete, Heisman Trophy winner, and he got cut. He didn't make it. And, they knew there'd be fans would come, support would come. He poured himself all into it. Demi, his wife, was really behind him, and he didn't make it. He was very disappointed in his flesh. And then he said, well, I'm going to dedicate my time to God. And what he's done since that time to help, children who are less fortunate and people who've been, preyed upon through trafficking and things of that nature, he would never be able to do if he had another 1 or 2 or 3 years in the NFL. So he now says that was the greatest thing that ever happened to him. And it really aligned his purpose more tightly with what he believes God has him to do.
Oh, that is so timely. Just this week, I'm on the leadership committee for C-Suite for Christ. And, we, at the beginning of the committee meetings, we always say God moments, and we can stand up and talk about it if we want. And I shared one this week. It was a God moment. I had this revelation, and I said, I'm done wanting the things I want for myself. I'm just done. What I want is what do you want for me? Whatever that is, I'm open to it. I'm excited about it. I'm already grateful for it. Let's go. I don't want what I want for myself anymore. And I think if we all think on that level of, not leaning, as the Bible says, on our own understanding and lean instead on God and have faith in His plan for us, which is always way bigger than what we have for ourselves.
Sure.
Oh my gosh, how much more successful could we actually become?
No, 100%. 100%. It's so true. It's so true. Yep.
Wow. So your story is incredible. You go from this point of adversity in childhood, never saw that coming, traumatic brain injury, turning into stuttering. Here we are at 40, still, finally overcoming the stuttering. You get into where you're a phenomenal success at everything you touch. Sounds like you have a lot of faith that keeps you going. I would love to know, was was there a specific turning point? Was there, when you were 40 and, overcoming the stuttering, was it, describe that point in your life? What was going on, and how did you make that switch to overcome stuttering?
Yeah, I guess at age 40, I'd poured myself out of like insecurity or trying to prove myself in business to attain, some pretty decent heights by that age. And then I was like, it's hollow, right? And no matter, what I attained, it was temporary, but it would not fill the void in my heart. And I realized through reading other books and building things that, there's 5 things that matter: faith, family, fitness, finance, friends. And I call it faith, or your lens, the center of a wheel. If you think about it that way, that really is the lens I see the world through. So I either see the world through my insecurity, I see it through my lack, trying to prove myself to myself because I stuttered and wanted to overcome, or prove all those people they should have teased me, or I was of value. And then when you flip it and become grateful for your setbacks, grateful for being teased, grateful for the pain, it's very empowering. And at the same time, it makes you more solid in your roots, because you become less seeking external affirmation and more of just grateful for where you are. And I had a mother that was very prayerful. And she would say, Eric, there are 2 types of people. And I'm like, well, what's that, Mom? She said, there's those who are humble and those who are soon to be humble. So I'm like, wow.
Oh my gosh, I love your mother. I'm going to steal that one.
She's fantastic. And it's so true, because when you become proud of yourself or proud of your accomplishments, it's not too long before you're humbled. And it says in the Bible, pride comes before a fall. And it's so true. And I've seen it in my life, over and over again, but it's, there's nothing great accomplished by yourself. And people who act like they attained it on their own, I think with a little bit of self-reflection, to realize that's probably not the case.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that resonates so deeply, right? Mm. And it's just so important, these lessons in life. Something that you said was very profound. Your heart wasn't full, that your heart wasn't in it at one point in time. You were lacking, it sounds like, fulfillment, purpose. Part of that is, did you have that relationship with your creator at that point?
Yeah, I accepted Christ at a young age, and I followed him through high school, and then I followed success after that, after college. So I began to define my value as my outward accomplishments, and not my inward self, right? So if I could accomplish something, I would do it, and I would miss events, I would miss things that were otherwise important to me. And then along the way, I met a lot of very wealthy people. And what I did, I was in finance, I worked with financial professionals and working with high profile people and tech founders and on and on and on. And I was fortunate enough to be near some people in life-threatening situations, or near death, or they're sick, or something happened. And I noticed that what they really seemed to want near them were people in their lives. And not all the time, but most of the time, those were the same people that they chose not to spend time with, because they were pursuing success, or what they thought was success, or I was doing it for them. And you really are. You're doing it out of your own insecurity, your own emptiness, and your own search for significance. And you may want to help them too, but that's it. But in that case, it gave me, a way to evaluate and see and learn from somebody else that, well, those were decisions, and I hold this person in high esteem, and they're very smart and driven and educated and successful. But at the end of the day, what they really want is relationship. And so how do you, know you have to pay the bills, know you have to do things, take care of your body, mind, soul, relationship's very important. And when you look at longevity, and people are talking about if it's vegan, it's vegetarian, it's exercise, it's whatever, you look at the blue zones around the world, and what they find among the people is there are people in certain that eat almost mostly meat in their diet. There are people that eat mostly vegetables in their diet. There are people who drink wine and smoke cigarettes in their parts of Italy in the blue zone. And what they found out, the commonality is they all had a sense of purpose. They did light amount of exercise, gardening, or some kind of walking around. But what's interesting is they were all in a relationship. They were in a community and had a sense of purpose. So longevity is important. And I've heard it said that if you put someone and isolate somebody, no matter what age they are, it halves their life expectancy, because now they're no longer in a relationship, and it becomes a very difficult and a very different life.
Oh, so much wisdom there. You hit on 2 points that I want to touch on. One is, a lot of high performers, myself included, right? I've been guilty of this in the past. The reliance on external validation for approval. Huge, Eric, huge.
Oh, yeah.
Recently I heard something that totally cured that for me. Because it has been a problem for a long time. Yeah. What cured it for me is I heard somebody say that if you seek external validation or approval, it's idol worship. Never thought about it like that.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, it's true.
It's true. And I never thought about it. And that certainly cured me. So now that's my permanent check, right? But you're right. It's seeking of the purpose, aligning with your purpose, doing things collaboratively, like you're talking about, community over competition. How can we work together? How can we unify, right? Mm-hmm. It's all important. And I like what you said too, that very rarely does somebody, get to the top by themselves, for themselves. Oh, yeah. They usually have people helping them along the way. It's so powerful, right?
No, it's so true. It's so true. It's just, you need people, you need relationship. You're not going to be good at everything. And, if you attack things as a team or think as a team and realize that, most of life is more about giving than receiving, it makes things a lot easier, and you keep score a lot differently.
I love that. Well, Erik, where can we find you and learn more about you and research your book and understand everything that you're doing these days?
Yeah, one of you go. I have a website called erikweir.com. It's here and then the bottom. You can go there. I have a book called Who's Eating Your Pie that's on Amazon. It's easily findable there, and it's Audible as well. And one of my favorite chapters happens to be the first chapter, and it's Permission to Dream. And most people have been down and out, and they're down on themselves, their relationships, or down financially, in any type of way, and they haven't given themselves permission to dream. But if you think about it, you ask a 10-year-old child, I'm going to be an astronaut, I'm going to be a dentist, I'm going to be a doctor. You ask them in college what they're going to be. It gets smaller. I'm going to do this. Smaller dreams. You ask them when they're 45, and I just want to sleep and maybe have a warm meal, right? So the idea is we forget to dream, and we don't give ourselves permission. So my first chapter is give yourself permission to dream again. Give yourself permission to start over again. And every day is a gift. And if you look at life that way, it's a great start to each day.
Oh, I love that. I always say, bookend your day with gratitude. So the first thing, when you wake up in the morning, say a prayer, say an expression of gratitude, because it is a lottery. We're lucky, so lucky every single day. No question. And then before you go to bed at night, again, bookend your day with gratitude and expression for the day. You do that long enough, you'll change your life. No doubt about it, right?
It does. I mean, there have been studies. It's like going to a gym and working out. If I work out one day, there's no difference. I work out a week, a little bit, 30 days, I start to notice it. A year later, and you can transform your body, and you don't realize it, but it happens. It's the same thing with gratitude or thankfulness or just being purposeful in life.
I love that. Well, thank you so much, Erik, for being a fantastic guest on this show. And thank you for everyone who tuned into this episode. Guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and leave a review. We are topping the charts in personal development and self-improvement podcasts, and we can't do it without your support. So don't forget to subscribe, like, share, leave a review, and we will see you on the next episode. Take care.